I'm Tom Voelk for EV Universe. You may have heard Volkswagen is transitioning to become a major force in electric vehicles. In the US, its ID.4 is the only model we get. For now, refined, roomy, and useful, the marketing people have been pushing the rear-drive vehicle as a crossover. I see a large hatchback. This might convince buyers to take the SUV description more seriously, and all-wheel drive might pull some owners of gas engine vehicles into the EV world. Adding a 107 horsepower asynchronous electric motor with 119 pound-feet of torque to the front axle adds some zip and traction, as I'll soon demonstrate. There are some parallels when it comes to outfitting all-wheel drive to both EVs and internal combustion engine powertrains. It ups the cost, in this case, by around $3,700. It adds weight, some 200 pounds in this case, and it reduces efficiency. But the ID.4 only loses about 10 miles of total range. That's not bad. It helps that the front motor can essentially freewheel until traction is needed. Much of the ID.4's powertrain is the same. The 201 horsepower permanent magnet synchronous rear motor with 229 pound-feet of torque features a hairpin winding method found on Porsche Taycan. Total system power is 295 horsepower and 339 pound-feet of torque. The floor-mounted lithium-ion battery's usable capacity of 77 kilowatt-hours remains the same. The ground clearance is upped by 0.7 of an inch to 6.8. Frunk lovers, you are denied. VW chose to put that space in the cabin, and frankly, it's more useful more often there. ID.4 is nearly 5 inches shorter than Tiguan, with about the same interior space. Butts hitting seats turns the ID on. There is a power button if that makes you feel more comfortable. There's no transmission. The unusual selector has a more aggressive regenerative braking setting. Check out the theatrics at the base of the windshield. All-wheel drive models tow an additional 500 pounds or 2,700 lbs's, and there are drive modes. All-wheel drive models get an extra one, traction. That makes sense. Adding all-wheel drive to a gasoline-powered car adds weight and complexity. Do it to an EV, and there's an extra motor, which means more power. The all-wheel drive version of the ID.4 is significantly quicker than the rear-drive model. It shaves a couple seconds off the 0 to 60 time. This reaches that benchmark in 5.5 seconds, and it feels faster than it is. And true, this is not the quickest EV out there, but I'm guessing that ID.4 owners are not going to be street racing. Call me crazy. Steering weight is about perfect, and there's actually some road feel coming up through the steering wheel. For a mainstream vehicle, ID.4 is pretty fun to drive. And no, it doesn't have GTI chops. It's not meant to, but it is pretty fun. And batteries in the floor mean a lower center of gravity. Always a win. There's brake-based torque vectoring. Remember that batteries are heavy, and Pro-S tips the scales at around 4,900 pounds. It doesn't feel that hefty unless pushed really hard into corners or when riding over rough pavement, which causes it to bound slightly. One thing I'll say about the ID.4, visibility is great, and not just for an EV, for any car. Lots of glass. This is a very quiet car with no synthetic sound during hard acceleration to speak of. The slight wind noise at highway speeds is very smooth. ID.4 does have a super tight turning radius, even though all-wheel drive adds 5 feet to that. If you do a lot of urban attack driving, this could be the vehicle for you. It's kind of a game changer. Volkswagen's standard suite of active electronic safety tech is called IQ Drive. The lane keeping and adaptive cruise control are exceptionally well done with a very secure feeling. As far as range goes, this is kind of a worst-case scenario since the Pro-S all-wheel drive is the least efficient ID.4 you can buy, and it's been kind of chilly in the high 30s this week. I'm seeing about 200 miles of real-world range. That leaves around 10 miles or so of cushion, which I'm comfortable with. That might make some nervous. Seattle doesn't get snow very often, so this is perfect timing. We got about 6 inches. Now, the difference between what we get in the Pacific Northwest and what you might see in the Midwest is that here, there's often an underlying sheet of very thin, very slippery ice. The tires are all-season Bridgestone lenses made for crossovers. Adding to the challenge, I live on the middle of a pretty steep hill, good enough for this kind of fun. Because cameras don't show how steep things really are, here's an idea of what the Volkswagen is up against. Here's an electric car advantage for you. They have heaters that turn on instantly, great for the cold, and this one's got a heated wheel. I will not do without a heated wheel ever again. Heated seats are nice, heated wheels are better. For grins, I'm starting out in the standard comfort mode, see what happens. If you're gonna take a car out in weather like this, might as well be somebody else's. Seems pretty sure so far. Oh, very sure. Quite nice, and good traction from the tires. 6.8 inches of clearance isn't great. At least the bottom of the ID.4 is perfectly smooth. No drivetrain components or oil pans to prang. Wouldn't be my first choice for off-roading, though in the white stuff, clearance is okay as long as it isn't a foot deep. Then it would be a sled. All right, this is the steepest hill in our neighborhood, and let's see how this works. We've got a couple chicanes here. Wow. All right, I'm impressed. Really very good. Punch the throttle and you can get some wheel spin, but it's very stable. Considering the regular ID.4 has rear-wheel drive, if you often drive in conditions like this, you're really gonna want the all-wheel drive. I'm gonna guesstimate that the range has dropped another 10% because it's averaging 18 degrees today, or -8 Celsius for everyone else on planet Earth. The battery's thermal management system keeps the pack in the ideal temperature range of around 77 degrees Fahrenheit at all times. This is a pretty tough test on icy roads. ID.4 passes with honors. The spacious cabin doesn't change from the rear drive ID.4 I've already reviewed. Piano black surfaces are prone to scratching, and there are more hard plastics than expected. But things are very presentable. Pro-S models get a richer cut-and-sewn dash cover. I recommend the upgrade. It adds this big fixed glass roof with a shade. Lowering the rear windows means toggling the controls. Seems like cost savings there. The HVAC system gets a normal menu or a more casual way of selecting what body area you want heated or cooled. Oddly, the dedicated buttons are grouped with the lights. The center console is especially flexible. I created the perfect slot for my fire plug of a coffee mug. Technology doesn't always involve microchips. Synthetic leather seats are comfortable and supportive, plus Pro-S gets a mild massage setting for lower backs. And now for the Achilles heel of the ID.4, the interface. Pro-S gets a larger screen. I'm not a fan of this setup. The layout isn't intuitive to me. Seems like consistency is missing. The touch sensitivity was terrible, though my hands were cold and dry because of the weather. Also, below are touch controls, and those are okay, but I like to place my thumb at the bottom to steady my index finger when making screen selections while driving. You can't really do that here. Natural language voice commands are actually pretty good. Are there any restaurants nearby? I'm hungry.
Search for points of interest in the vicinity. Please select a POI from the list.
Super China Buffet.
Okay, Super China Buffet.
I guess I'm going there. I recommend the casual voice commands triggered by the steering wheel button or the prompt, Hey ID, much like Hey Siri or OK Google. In addition to wireless charging and removable cup holders in this spot, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are wireless. I ended up using CarPlay the most simply because it was a lot easier to use than Volkswagen's interface. Oh, and the unbranded audio system sounds pretty good. Let's talk charging. The port is on the rear passenger side as far from the driver as possible. I prefer it on the driver's front quarter panel, if only because it's easier to remember to plug in when at home. When traveling and using commercial stations, ID.4 can juice up at a maximum rate of 125 kilowatts. That's not the fastest, but it does have a good charging curve. In other words, it starts at a higher rate and stays there longer before throttling lower to protect the battery. At stations like this, ID.4 can go from 5 to 80% in around 38 minutes. The light show, while it's getting its fill, is pretty cool. One strong incentive to use an Electrify America station is that ID.4 owners get free unlimited charging for 3 years. Such a deal. All-wheel drive does nothing to this roomy space. 3 adults will be good to go back here, especially with the flat floor. These are small, there's no separate climate zone or heated seats, but phones can be charged. I especially like the seat back pockets because there are 2 on each chair. The little one is pretty cute. ID.4 is an excellent choice for hauling a family emission-free. Add all-wheel drive componentry to some vehicles and it can take up cargo space because, that stuff needs to go someplace. ID.4 starts as a rear-drive vehicle, so this remains the same. There's a small area to stow the supplied charge cord that can be used when traveling, and the load floor is adjustable if you need maximum cargo height. There is no spare tire though, boo hiss. There are beefy bag hooks and a power outlet, plus a ski pass-through so your boards don't make wind noise on the roof. With the seats full, there's 30 cubic feet to fill or 9 carry-on suitcases. With the floor in the top setting, there's a flat loading surface. ID.4 maxes out at 64 cubic feet. Impressive considering the size of this rig. Volkswagen is now producing ID.4 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pricing? An all-wheel drive ID.4 starts at $48,800. Fully loaded, a Pro-S Plus just crests $55,000. That's with shipping and before any tax credits. And keep in mind, the EPA says most owners will save more than $1,000 a year on fuel costs over a gas crossover. And that's without the free charging. Volkswagen's effort should be on the test drive list if ditching trips to the gas station amps you up. And now that the ID.4 is available with all-wheel drive, it's a choice for all seasons. For EV Universe, I'm Tom Voelk.